Bristol Reggae Orchestra. Hello. Let's talk modes. Modes are modes scales, are scales modes. I use them interchangeably, and I'm happy to argue with you in a philosophical manner with a cocktail and a swanky jazz bar. We can talk about modes. Alright, so the modes of the major scale. Use C major for our examples here. We play C to C, that's our C major scale. That's brilliant. Same notes, same sequence of notes, played D to D gives us a different mode. That's a mode of the C major scale based upon the second degree. Same thing, if we play E to E, that's a mode based on the third degree of the scale. And we keep going up the scale all day long until we get to C. Obviously, we're back at the start. So each of these different modes have a different parent tonic and they have a different feel to them. What we see is the major scale has a certain distribution of whole tones and half tones. In the major scale, first mode based on C, we have a half tone between E and F, and we have a half tone between B and C as well. So when we shift the scale sort of underneath these distributions of whole steps and half steps, we find that the half steps occur in different places, thus giving them a different characteristic. These modes have names for each of them, and you will learn these because it'll be very helpful later on when we talk about chords. There's a big matching between mode and a chord. You could argue what came first, chord or mode, chicken and egg. There's a lot of that stuff in the jazz theory world. So mode 1, which is the normal major scale that you know, is called the Ionian mode. Mode 2 is Dorian. Mode 3 is Phrygian. Mode 4 is Lydian. Mode 5, Mixolydian. Mode 6, Aeolian. Little asterisk next to that one because the Aeolian mode is the natural minor scale that you might know. So there you go, the minor scale is just a mode of the major scale. Mode 7 is the Locrian mode. So in these names, we call the name of the mode with the tonic of the mode. So C major is actually C Ionian, D Dorian, E Phrygian, etc. In practicing these modes and scales and modes, you can practice them one after each other, it's fine. You're just running up and down C major, essentially starting in different places. It's very, very, very important to do two things, I believe. The first thing is to be conscious of what you're doing. When you're practicing this scale and these modes, it's all good to just go, C to C, D to D, E to E, just thinking C major all the time. But it's even better to be aware and mindful of what mode you're in. So when you're going up D Dorian, make sure you think, I'm going up and down D Dorian. This is defining D Dorian. It's not just up C but up a bit. Even though we treat it as that way and we can practically play it very easy that way, if you don't condition yourself to think this is D Dorian, later on when we pair, for instance, the D Dorian with a D minor 7 chord, you have to go through the motions to find the mode. So make the association now and it will pay off in the future. Second thing I think is really cool to do when you practice this is to compare the mode to the tonics major scale. So D Dorian again is our example. You're playing up and down D Dorian. Compare that to D major. So play your D Dorian, play D major, and then play D Dorian again. So you get a feel for the difference in characteristics. The reason for this is that when we practice the modes of C major and we just go up and down, we still hear the tonality of C major, whereas we want to differentiate this. So when I was 18, I started training martial arts, and one of the first things this sensei taught me was a true champion is a master of the basics. And I've just found this to ring true again and again and again in everything in life. And music is no different. So really drill the fundamentals. Do not skip this step. If you skip fundamental steps, it will hurt you later. And you can trust me with that, because I skipped fundamentals and it hurt me later. Knowing the modes is really important. You can do this in all keys if you want. At least do it in a couple of keys. And this is really important later when we want to pair scales and chords. Put modes into your practice and be mindful of the mode while you're practicing it, and it will do you a world of good. Alright, next time chords. Stay awesome.